Namaskar. A warm welcome to you all to Albany Ashayghan's web series Pravas Kartutvacha. On account of International Women's Day and Gudi Padwa, we are celebrating achievements of women in the capital district's Marathi community. In today's episode, we are excited to have Mrs. Suman Joshi join us for a candid talk. I would now request Mrs. Anu Ayachit to introduce our guest.
Suman Joshi. Suman Joshi is a very well-known name in Indian community of Albany. In the interfaith group, be it an adult interfaith storytelling group or the children group. And to us, Marathi Vasi, the Marathi community of Albany, she's a guide, enthusiast who's ever so encouraging and love personified. What we say in Marathi, Prema Murti, Vatsalya Murti. Known to us as Sumantai or Suman Maushi, what makes her special is her ability to make whoever she interacts with feel special, whether it's their first interaction or if they have known her for years. Born as Suman Ghanekar, she spent her childhood and school years in Dharwad with her family, parents, siblings, and cousins who were as close to her as siblings. Her parents were very open and advanced for their time and let her grow and be as she was. She went to college in Pune, where her family then moved to, and she completed her master's in psychology from Pune University. She then spent some time in Mumbai, worked for a little bit before moving to California after tying the knot with Sharat Kaka Joshi. They moved to San Antonio, Texas, where she became a mother to her two boys. And then the family finally moved to Albany, and she has been here for over 45 years. Here, she pursued her interest in psychology by getting another master's in clinical psychology and special education from SUNY. After working as a psychologist for the state of New York for a few years, she found herself at home when she joined Wildwood Program Inc. and continued to work there for over 2 decades until she finally retired as the director of education. She credits her parents and her friends from here to be of great influence. Suman Joshi has always been interested in child development and children education and has authored a couple of books on autism that have been translated in Marathi as well. She has always been interested in women issues and have been involved with women's support groups in the capital region. She has contributed by writing articles on role of a woman in magazines like Ekata, Stree, to name a few. She's a poet herself and has been influenced tremendously by Marathi literature and Marathi poems, especially the Varkari Pantha, Jnaneshwari, Dasbodh Grantha, and Charitras of saints of Maharashtra. Her contribution to the community is immense. To cite a few, she has served on the interfaith group panel, has been involved in educating refugees focusing on American culture and way of life to acclimatize them to settle in this country, and of course, teach them English. In addition, she has been one of the founder members of the heritage class affiliated with the temple, now replaced by Bala Vihar. I can go on and on, but it would be more interesting to hear her journey from Dharwad to Albany, in her words, in conversation with Sarita Wagh. So now I ask Sarita Wagh to start her conversation with Suman Joshi. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and namaskar. Thank you, Anu, for such an exceptional introduction of our guest tonight, Sumantai Joshi. Namaskar and a very warm welcome to you, Sumantai, to Pravas Kartutvacha.
Namaste, Namaskar, Ram Ram.
Ram Ram. Sumantai, you came here many years ago, in the early to mid 70s. Can you please tell us what was life like then and how is it different now? What was your main focus in life and career? Did you face any challenges? during that time, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, the question is loaded. Very good question. We can spend the whole session, which we are not going to. Uh, Actually, let me say that my journey, as Anu said, it started in Dharwad as a very confused girl. But asking all these questions, even I remember at early age, what is this world is about? Why roles are, of women and men are so different? And I was influenced by my grandma, who at that point was widow. And as you remember, I'm sure many of you may not seen it now, but remember it. There used to be, it was called in Marathi, Keshavapan means cutting the hair when even young girl became widow.
Yeah.
And so she won't be attractive to people. So that was one of the things. I always asked her questions. Aji, why don't you come outside? Why don't you join us? Why don't you put the kumkum on? Why do you all the time wear this sari? And how come you are always sad? I mean, all those questions kind of really my journey started there. And I started looking at women from the point of view as not never as individual. None of us are individuals. We are part of the family, part of the community, and part of ourselves. So I just started asking those questions. I had no answers. And my age and everything, even my parents were well advanced and progressive. No one can answer those questions. And my Aji has to be the way she was and lead the life that way. So in a way, in a strange way, when I went to Pune and did my psychology, education in psychology, my journey is my own journey, as I said, from very confused girl to understand what is this all about. Why this birth? These questions I had in my mind all the time. And people did not know that I had those questions. But I always did. And I always felt like, are there any answers for these questions? So sometimes I used to get very depressed. So, and at that time, as you know, we did not have any means, even though my parents were educated and everything, that going to get psychologist or anything, that wasn't the part of the society. So my journey has been for myself, actually. So my career path and my personal path has always gone together. It is not even, I would say, parallel, but always together, integrated. So when I came to this country, I mean, really, honestly, I'm telling you, ours was arranged marriage, even though we kind of met many times and got to know each other well in few few days actually. But when I came here to this country, I really felt free. I started feeling that freedom, because even though in this country also, I would not say women were any different, not to that extent, but still there was some kind of air was, free air was there. That's how I felt. I mean, I can do whatever I can do in this life and find myself. My journey is finding myself. I was not trying to be a social worker or psychologist to anyone. So that's how, and the challenges were, and you won't believe it, but after I came to this country, almost my depression was lifted. And that was actually amazing. And then I started saying, what is the environment around me? Even though people ask me many questions about India, and at that time they felt India means what? India was this very poor country. Women in India very suppressed. And that wasn't always true. Especially, you know, our history is such that women's history, if you can see that Karve and, you know, many, many men. So I never had this kind of a thing that men, women, but freedom for all and opportunity to grow in your own skin for everyone. And interdependency was my theme. It was not like dependency, but interdependency. So this, I mean, that journey has taken to taken me again to school here. And in San Antonio, I had 2 kids. I stayed home with kids, and kids were very young. And I will never regret that. That was the greatest thing I did. But after I came here, kids were not old, but they're a little bit older. And I started going to school. And in San Antonio, I had many challenging experiences because this society wanted us as foreigners, as coming from different countries, stay the way we are. I mean, it is kind of mysticism. They said to me, "Oh, always wear sari, and always wear kumkum." We like that, because don't change. I mean, that I was kind of surprised to hear that. Don't change. What kind of advice is that? Don't change. But anyway, I learned a lot from people. I mean, I know one thing now, and with my stage of life and age, that now I can connect the dots from my past, my career, my family, my community, and everything. But at that time, when I was growing up and in maturing, growing up meaning not like I was already grown up person, but growing and maturing, I realized that we are all products of our environment. We have some power. So when in Marathi it said journey of Kartutvacha something, but I'm really saying that each of us have journey of efforts, Kartrutva, and destiny. Destiny also plays a big part in everything. What we have in our self-power is how to respond to anything. Responses is our power. That's where the difference happens between a person. So people go in business school, or even they become a doctor or engineer, whatever. But usually they may think at that point, I am making this career, I'm taking this career. But when you come to that stage, you will realize that when you are happy, that means something is happening that's helping you to grow personally in life. So challenges were many, but there were very delightful challenges. I would say that. Yeah.
So rightfully said that. Yeah. The response is the main thing.
Yeah.
The way you respond to a particular situation.
Yeah. Right. And of course, we need a lot of support. That's why we are the products of environment. Choosing satsanga, right people, that's really, really important. Yeah. And that's where heritage class, when we talk about that more, comes into a picture.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the use of education for kids? But we can make a difference. Adults with our role model, as well as solving some of their issues. We cannot solve their issues. They have to solve their own issues. But we can guide them and we can role model them. And now the things have changed a lot, as you asked me that question, because don't change hasn't been a message from American society anymore. At least I had that.
Yeah.
Don't change. We like the way you are.
Yeah, actually, that is surprising, because now if anybody walks into an office with a sari, it would be looked at in a different way.
Yes.
So everybody would start wondering what is happening here.
Yeah. And now everyone wants to be like everyone, but they saw that something was different, and they were in a way admiring that, but they didn't realize that there is this another human being is going to change according to environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was mainly, I would say, my first step here.
Sumantai, as an educator and a psychologist, you kept working persistently in the field of your interest, namely dyslexia and autism. And you have worked a lot on autism and counseling teens and parents. You are also a published author of many books on autism, like Courage, Heart and Wisdom, Essays on Autism, Children with Autism and Their Allies in Action. And in one of the books, you have stated that autism is a puzzle, which is yet to be fully understood. Could you please elaborate more on this?
Autism is one of those things that it really hasn't defined, actually could not be defined completely, because each child needs different things. And even though I was a psychologist and I was trained in special education, autism challenged me really thoroughly. One thing was that the symptoms were more like they were non-communicative, and there was so much inside them. They were, they cannot express so many things. And that kind of attracted me because I always, as when I said I was a confused girl, I mean, I looked normal, quote unquote, for people, but I was kind of stuffing everything in so much, and I had no words to communicate that. So instantly, you won't believe it, I kind of connected with autistic population which was autistic, and I could understand them. It is so that's why that puzzle was so big. In one child can be very bright, and some of them have gone even to college and got master's degree, that high functioning. And then other child with behaviorally so hard and trying to communicate, come out of that shell and cannot. So that struggle you can see, but the common factor still, I would say, was that communication and small chat. And I never had problem with small chat, but these kids have really cannot do it, cannot do small chat. So each child is so different. I can do another whole session on autism. They are also very funny. And I'm just, the puzzle is, each child is a puzzle. And you have to put that puzzle together. And I tremendously loved it. And Wildwood, the whole program, we call that Camelot at that time. The people were tremendous, open mind, and everyone kind of really listened to each other. And who taught me a lot are kids with autism. Somehow we connected so well. And even though they could not talk, many of them could not really say many words, but some of them can, but very in concrete way. I'm just going to give you one example, just as an example. If you ask someone to bring me some water, okay, so they will, of course, you have to say please for autism. They will never do that if you don't say please. So please bring me water. So that girl or boy will bring me water. And I remember one time that girl bought water and she just poured it on my table. Oh. So I said, I knew it wasn't behavior. Usually it wasn't behavior, but I said, what are you doing? Glass, she said, didn't you say bring me water? Yeah. So it is not, you never said bring me the glass of water. Yeah. Exactly. So there are so many examples like that concrete examples. Yeah. Exactly. So it was, in a way, you had to take it in the fun way. Yeah. And then you know how to teach them. So I learned with them because there wasn't at that time any course for autism per se. Oh. So we developed that with psychiatrists and other psychologists and especially pediatricians. We kind of taught them because only education was the answer for that. Every day teach them something and they always learned. Yeah. There wasn't like not learning. So I have to, each puzzle I have to, in the beginning I worked with them as 1-to-1, 2-to-1, like directly, and try to solve each puzzle one at a time. And then there was, some advance in people were really attracted to autism, but still the puzzle is not solved. And why it is that way? Even brain, and they have done brain scans, all kinds of things. But what they find, the answers are different for every child, even though there are some common factors. So that's what attracted me. Mm-hmm. I have something like in me that I start the project, and once I think I come to a point, I kind of solve some of these things and I don't have ability now to go any further. Mm-hmm. I just stop there because I just can't do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have kind of that understanding, intuition. Then others have to come in, and it was always teamwork. Yes. Yeah. And I learned a lot. And at that time, also, autism is a puzzle in the sense it is true for any parent or parenting. But I realized that without parents, you cannot work in isolation with kids, especially with these kids, which is true for all kids.
Yeah.
Parents have to be part of it.
Yeah.
And parents make a big difference. That's where we can, make a difference in child's life. Whether there are some challenges, there are always challenges with kids.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But we can make a difference. And I realized that, and that's how heritage class, everything. Without parents, we cannot go any further. We need parents because it's a unit. Family is a unit.
Yeah.
Even though I was, in a way, I was very much into issues of mothers in the sense that making them more assertive and all of that. I still believe in that cause. But the thing is, all of us, we are not individuals. I realize that we are all units. At least as long as we are alive in this world, we are units. And now I'm grandparent of two. They're older. I have one grandson and one granddaughter. And then all of course, my other cousins and sons, and even Sania, Rohan. I have many grandkids.
Nice.
Of all ages. So that I enjoy. And then I enjoy working with parents.
Yeah.
I listen to them all the time because they teach me and kids teach me. So
they must be surely happy to have you as their grandmother. I'm certain about that.
I don't know who is happier.
Of course they must be. They must be hearing so many stories from you for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
And they are wonderful. Kids are wonderful. So I don't know whether you guys are younger, but whether you remember that song like Nanne Munne Bacche Tere Mutti Mein Kya Hai. That I thoroughly believe in that. I don't advise them. I want to learn from them. And then maybe shape and guide. We can do that. Yeah. But just find out first, who they are. And their world is so different. We forget that sometimes. Yeah. Their world is very different. And many of us, as I said before many times, didn't go to school. Elementary school I'm talking about. Many of us haven't gone here. So their environment, everything, we have to find out from them where they are at and what they are thinking, where they are going, before we open our mouth and say, do it this way. We don't know their environment and we will never be in their shoes, but try to understand parents and kids. Yeah.
We try to learn from them and their experiences, actually.
Yes. Yeah, we don't have that. All I'm saying, the same thing, reinforcing. Yeah. You are saying that we don't have that experience. Yeah. So we have to learn from them and then shape them, see what values are and see how different everything is. And all the challenges are not bad for them. They grow. Yeah. 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 So that's like autism taught me a lot to how to be with other people in life also. But that's my love. Autism is my love. I would still say that. I'm happy is there. My Wildwood was, I don't know whether I call that my first home or second home. People were fantastic, teamwork, and then and still it's going on that way, even though I'm retired now. But still, many parents of Indian heritage, they still call me for some consultation. Like, I don't do any more counseling. I did my own counseling service for 3 years. I don't do that, but I don't mind just kind of guiding them, just talking with them a little bit and seeing where they can go with their kids and what they can do. So that has happened all my life in Albany. Indian parents, calling me and asking, and I always enjoyed that. I never minded that at all. I still don't mind that.
Actually, I was coming to that same question that you were saying about you said that you were also actively involved with the Wildwoods Autism Center in Schenectady. So could you please share any experience working there?
Yeah, as I said, I think I said few things already. Experience there has been terrific. As I said, they were all team workers. And we were kind of shaping the program since there was no real, ideal, perfect program for autistic children. And our organization has done a lot in that area, and we work like social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists, educators, speech therapists, occupational therapists. All of us, we work together, and every day, and assistants and parents. Without parents, we listen to parents, because we can be with these kids for a few hours, but then they go home, and then parents have to take care of them. Our kids were growing up. It was so important for parents that kids should be going to these Ivy League schools, Cornell, this Yale, and then they were very proud. And no one, and still they don't. I really stigmatize there about, if there is any issue with a kid, you can't talk about it. There is such a stigma. When I did these parents groups and when we did these women's groups, it was pathetic. It was very hard. And that's what I learned from Wildwood. Each child, each person has such a potential to grow. But you have to be open and deal with all these issues. We are in the same boat, maybe with different stories. Values are important. We need to be happy as human beings. We need to be peaceful.
So,
Yale, it is fine. I would never say goals, high goals, yes. But at the same time, don't get, sidetracked by those goals and be unhappy and not peaceful. So whatever, if you are doing janitor's job, fine, do it well. How I got attracted to Warkari Pantha?
yeah, you can surely.
Yeah. So
I would love to hear from you.
yeah.
On that.
So it is like, for me, I started looking at India and America from outsider from inside. I was ambassador. I felt like that. I was ambassador for the both countries. America, I loved. India, the culture and many of these things we were losing it, and there was. I always had problem with sometimes the women were treated, but at the same time, I was very proud of people like Karve, Agarkar, how they helped. Even women's issues, and so it is all people. It is not even man and a woman, but it is just helping each other. So I was proud of that, and I found that in Naneshwar Tukaram, because as you know, this is the first, I would say, platform where all castes came together to praise the God, maybe, but that's all they came together. They worked together. They sang together. Women, men, there was no distinction. When you love God and you bhakti and dhyan and both, you just love. Love was the thing. And they did not look at you are a woman, you are a man, or you are Gora Kumbhari, or whatever you are like quote unquote untouchable caste, like Chokha Mela, and all of these things that attracted me so much. And the life of Naneshwar, in such a young age, he suffered so much. All those four, siblings, they suffered so much. But at the same time, especially Naneshwar, his guru was Nivrutti. But especially Naneshwar, the way he conducted his life, 21 years of it, loving people, being with people, with the community, and at the same time, spiritual basis was his basis. No one can be, I know no one can be Naneshwar, but we can always try those values of him. And that's why one of my, I would say, I would call that the best and the most efficient prayer is Pasaidan.
Yeah.
What he asked for the whole world and everything. So Warkaripan became my light or guide. So even in those days, they didn't go to Yale and Harvard. Yeah, but I'm not saying anything wrong with that. These are great institutes. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm saying that this came to Naneshwar so naturally. So age is not that important, and I really believe in lives after lives. And what we bring to this life is what we bring to this life. Naneshwar cannot learn all of that in 16 years. Impossible. There are so many child prodigies. So that's what Warkari Pantha, it is strange, but when I connect that, that's what Wildwood gave me and Warkari Pantha gave me. So
Oh.
that was the parallel kind of, I always find that parallel in the world,
Mhm.
that one is here, but it's always connected. We don't see the connection at that time. So for all these young people and everyone, I would say, trust life. I mean, really be honest with yourself and your responses and everything. And don't be afraid to ask for feedback, criticism. That makes you grow. Don't, I mean, that's the foundation. So that's how, when you ask that, I mean, I'm saying this first time actually, Sarita, that Wildwood and Warkari Panth, how similar they were. I'm surprised. Yes, they are.
It's
So
so amazing you made the connection so well.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I
it
mean,
is not easy to make that kind of a connection. That itself there itself is such a great thing. That is. Yeah.
yeah, that's grace. That's grace. It is not me. When I'm talking like this way, I realize that it's not me. It is just grace. Yeah. So all of us have that.
Yeah.
It's not just me. I mean, no one is that special. Everyone is special and no one is special because all of us have the same grace. So that's how, when you said Wildwood, that's how highly
Mm-hmm.
I consider Wildwood and Warkari Pantha.
Warkari Pantha.
Yeah.
Great,
So
great.
that's my religion.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Great to hear that. Also, like while working with teens and their parents, you also worked with women's issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, this being a program related to International Women's Day, could you please elaborate on some of the women's issues you worked on? Did you come across any touching or noteworthy experience while working on women's issues?
Yeah, actually, many. As I said, I started with my own grandma, right? Who,
Mm-hmm.
who
Yeah.
had, yeah, and those questions, I was like 6, 7, 8 years old. Those questions arise then, and they are not answered still. I mean, they are not, I know they are not going to be answered. I mean, just saying equality is not going to do it. And creating equal opportunity, all of that is true, and we had done some of that. But even now, Sarita, you will be surprised. There are so many communities here, and we work with them many times, but no one would really, I would say, be open and share their stories, because Indian community is, I really feel, is very judgmental. All of us, as I said. So it is hard for people, and some of these issues should not be even shared with strangers. There is no reason to do that. But even going to a counselor or going to a psychologist or going to we are here, many of our professions, I'm saying, or friends, and opening up. That was very, I still think it is very hard for women to do that. And there are so many, I can give you, just there are so many that makes you so sad, but they're resilient. Women are resilient, so it is not hopeless. But I'm just, no one in the world, women or men, should take abuse from anyone. They have to have their boundary. But these are the women who have come to the level really abused by men, young men, two little kids mostly. And so still it hasn't changed. And I don't know, as Indian community, what we can do. We are doing it, we are trying to do it, and then but I don't think we are very successful. And even American women are many times abused and all of that. But we have such a stigma. We can't even say a little thing. Women stay there because they are financially not capable.
Not capable, yes.
And if they come to you, you can't just tell them, just get out of the house. They can't with two little kids. Yeah, they don't have money, they don't have skills, and sometimes they cannot travel. Husband has taken their passports away. So what do you advise? It breaks your heart. But you can't just say that they are going through this all of this. So breaking your heart doesn't do any good for them. So, I mean, we give them there are many institutes there, they help them when they get to that point. But how do they get out of this? That is the big thing we have and this is not only women's issues. We call that International Women's thing, and we have done a lot. And there is one author here, Annu Subramaniam. How much really kind of abuse is there. And it is not all, thank God, it is not. It is still minority. Most men and women are very decent. They are leading average life. But how to, that's the privilege we have, right? If you are leading, right? So how to help these women and how to be supportive? If you cannot take them out of that, at least don't be judgmental and don't avoid them. That's what I would say. At least have good words for them and try as much as, and it has to happen individually and also at community level. So there are still many stories, Sarita. It is not when we started. Still there are, and I have gone a couple of times with sometimes Indian parents. They don't understand that you are not supposed to spank the kid. If you spank very hard, kid can call 911, and that has happened.
That has happened.
One teen girl did, and then they took all these 3 kids from their house. What is mom going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
All 3 kids are gone. One 5 years old. I went to a foster home to see that child. How much she was yearning for mom. The answer is not just take them out.
Yes.
And the answer is not, these are not women's issues. These are human issues. And when men understand that, and some of them do, I have a lot of respect for them, when they understand that these are human issues, these are not women, it is affecting your kids. So there are many. So I got very much, my interest started right then when I was 6 or 7 years old. I felt something is wrong in the society when women are kind of, and not that men are happy doing that either. It is unhappy life for men and women. So victimizing everyone. So I don't know, we do our best, but there is no answer for that yet.
These are tough situations, and many times we see that the children in the setup, they end up getting most of the brunt. So it is really difficult to get through this situation.
And we have to keep doing something as much as we can, especially for children. At least don't have that stigma. It is not their fault. Why this is happening to them. And that's again, I'm saying, I'm going back to wildwood and autistic kid. We taught or we gave lessons to their siblings and other kids. We had the programs where kid that's average, normal kid and autistic kid will come together and be more sympathetic and how to be with child with autism. The same way, the same methods we should use, and not only, it's not the fault of that autistic child or the parents who are divorced and then we blame and kids go through whatever they go through. All kids are the same. So how to be with each other without, blaming one another and saying this is good situation, this is bad situation. Kids are kids, whatever that is, whoever they are. So that's something, so that's why I'm going back and again with Wildwood, because of that exposure to me and being a psychologist there and getting exposed to so many people there. I realized that it's the same for everyone. It's not any different. We just label them and we say this is this, this is that. So unconditional acceptance is the very first thing. Unconditional acceptance. And try to understand another person. He or she has a story. So it is more than women, more than men. There is a story. So that's International Women's Day. It's not only for women. It is for all of us. And if women are not strong enough, half of them are women, then how is society going to be strong enough and flexible enough? When I say strong, I don't see shield and everything. I say flexibility.
Yes, exactly.
So, so honoring and forgetting women on International Women's Day is not the way to go. Every
That's
day,
not the only solution. Yeah,
yes,
it's true.
yes.
Yeah,
But it's good. One day at least
yeah,
people
yeah.
are aware of that and everything. Yeah.
Great, great. It's so
Yeah.
good to hear from you all these aspects about women's issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with pursuing your academic achievements, you've always been an active member at the temple also.
Mm-hmm.
You are a very spiritual person. We just came to know so many facts about Varkari Pant and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you have volunteered a lot of your time at the temple. Something I found interesting was you are one of the founding members of the heritage classes at the temple.
Mm-hmm.
Could you give us an insight about the initial days of the classes and volunteering at the temple?
Yeah. Group of us. I'm one of the founding member, but group of us, which was not only Maharashtrians, everyone we came together.
Yeah.
And then at that time, I would say exposure to Americans, and we talk about two cultures, Indian at home, Indian American. It was even more strong. The gap was really there at that time. So kids they were asking all those questions, and their grandparents came from India sometimes. I mean, it wasn't that easy at that time, but they did not know, especially grandmothers, did not know English. They dressed different way. So
Yeah.
all of that, they had many questions about that. And so we started those classes, and I'm always proud to say that one of the Maharashtrian lady, her name was Mangala Sugandhi. She started with two kids,
Oh,
heritage class,
amazing.
sitting there was the old temple. I give her a lot of credit. And she 1 year, 2 years, then 4 kids. And then all of us, we joined her. She never gave up. And it just continued growing. And the issues were at that time, now Americans are more involved and they know where India is, even they didn't know where India was at that time. So, and now when kids come from India, even I call them kids, but professionals, 25, 24 years, when as students or when they come from India, they know exactly where they are going. They know these are the grocery stores around them. Virtually, they do all of that, and they have a lot of support from other Indians, and Americans also are knowing culture of India more. That wasn't the case then. It was very different, and that's why teens have a lot of energy. So we took different groups, and our classes went really well. And at that point, I have to also say, Chinmayananda Mission has done a great job. And we were not following their curriculum, but we were following Dayanandaji's curriculum. It wasn't that different. What I have, seen, and I love to teach teenagers. So even though we did like basic things, Mahabharata and Ramayana and stories, but we always, I used to have like 20 to 22 kids in my class. The number wise, that was amazing. And we always talked about how this factor relates today in your life. We just did not tell the stories and stop there.
Okay.
Half of that was stories, some shlokas of half of that, and all of that we did as cultural, and we had different skills together. So, but we also, and some teachers were very strict and different than some of us were not that strict. We were more like going with kids and, that sort of a thing. So we always ask that question, how this Rama story, Dasharath or whatever, being so loyal to his parent, how does that work now? What is happening now in your world? If just the example, if your dad says go to jungle or stay there, would you do that? Yeah. And is it always beneficial to do it? I mean, we just raised the questions and they answered those questions and thought about it, wrote a lot also. They are all now graduates, and many of them. At that time, we came to like those teenage classes, and they really feel that gave them something. And Chinmayananda Mission, I don't now it is heritage class Bal Vihari Chinmayananda Mission. That's the one of the best thing that happened. People who are working there, like Zui, who is doing to raise the bar and doing a great job. I haven't seen, I mean, honestly, I might be biased, but I haven't seen many kids who had some culture and some exposure to Chinmayananda classes have gone that wrong. Because they have challenges. They have done, I mean, they have done few things. I mean, that's all going to happen. But they came back on the path.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anyone. And Zui, the way the work is she's doing, so still there are people, I mean, they are challenging kids, they are doing all of this work in our own community. And that's what makes me very happy. I like to be on the kind of behind the stage. And if anybody needs anything, and if I have that in me, I would always share. But there is, the society is growing and the community is so great. Just I wanted to give you how these people have raised the bar, like Rashmi and all of you, Maharashtra, AMF, you raised the bar. And we started that program. I don't know whether you remember, with Santa Wangmay and all of that. We started that program with that. And you guys have raised the bar. Karan's, I mean, all of you have raised the bar. And that kind of helping us to even go further and further. And you, I mean, I also wanted to say something about Kalyan. Kalyan, I mean, I'm really specifically saying these names with intention, because he also was like Shivaji Maharaj, and he's also my one of models that, you know, Hindu, whole the Hindu thing and Hindu culture is here because of him. Not in limited way, because he was the one who really, really respected women, respected Muslims, respected, you know. So Kalyan had this thing about, in a different way, music and all of that. He was so attracted to that, and he created that group. And he has come such a long way. Now you look at his COVID thing. So I connect that. There is connection. I don't know whether you guys see that, because because I wouldn't say he was all, no, none of us are always that way, but he has matured so much, and he came from loving Shivaji, which was a great thing. So if we love these models, nothing wrong with that. Loving Sant, loving, and he came to this COVID, there is a connection. I mean, whatever is needed, he's doing it now.
He's been volunteering a lot.
I know.
He's doing a phenomenal job. Actually, so many people from our community, because of him, have got the vaccine in time.
That's the need amazing. Of this time. That's what I'm saying. So see how I connecting this. Shivaji was the need of that time. He loved Shivaji, and now he's connecting with community. I mean, I want to tell him that sometimes. I haven't told him that yet. But that's like, so these are the three examples. Zui is doing the same thing. Chinmayananda is connecting this younger generation with culture and values and acceptance and unconditional acceptance, especially. And all of you are doing that. I'm so happy to see our community here kind of growing. So we cannot lag behind. We have to kind of encourage you and each generation. I have a lot of trust in future generations. People say, oh, you know, world is, no, it is okay. The world is not, you know, these challenges are making them stronger. Their responses are right. Trust your intentions and have some spiritual background. When I gave you these examples of these people, you can see some kind of spiritual background there. True. So, all of you. I mean, it is very important. And I almost have never gone wrong. And I have to almost. Sometimes I have. The other day I was talking with you and I said, you talked about meditation. I already knew you had some sort of spiritual grounding. That goes a long way. A long way. So that's why these Chinmayananda Mission classes and all of those are important. Satsanga and encouraging them And if your mind grows, that I would say that is the only litmus test. If you become more open, more accepting, more mature, that means that religion or whatever that thing is working for you. If you become more restricted, more judgmental, more, that means something is not right. I mean, it's not helping you. Only one litmus test. If meditation that makes you sad, yeah, that's your thing. And that's how I felt about Varkari Pantha. That made me open more. I have a long way to go, and I believe in that. I'm sure I have few more lives. So everything is not going to happen now, but I'm okay. That's what we have to believe. You are okay and I'm okay.
Now we have spoken so much about so many things. You have worked as a mentor and a psychologist, counseling teenagers and parents. You have worked on women's issues. You have accomplished so much in your life, given your best in everything, received your laurels. You are a grandmother now. How does it feel? How does it feel? Reflecting back on your life, are you content with everything? How does it feel?
I am contented with my efforts, grace, and this foundation I'm contented with. There is the opportunity to grow every day. My grandchildren, when I'm saying my grandchildren, my two biological ones, but I'm talking about all children like Rashmi, Sani, I mean the children, Sania and Rohan. I'm talking about children of that age, even younger children. They teach me every day. And I honestly, I say that because their world is so different. If I have to enter their world, they have to tell me what that world is. I mean, to understand that. So that's what I learned so far. I would say that that's the major lesson I learned. That world is going to go forward. Whether we get stuck at one point and stuck there, that's our problem. But world is moving on. Yes. So don't say that, back like my grandma's way. She did the best she can, even under those circumstances. So don't get stuck there. Keep moving with as it flows, and keep guiding if you can. If your experiences help people, that's great. And if they don't, that's fine. The world is going on. Don't really hold it so tightly that you can't move. And you hold it. World is going on anyway. So that's the main lesson I would say. Be enthusiastic about it and take one day at a time. That is important. Trust the world. It is not a bad world, even though Corona and we talk about all of that. Trust the world. And I think you will come out contented and happy. You don't have to wait like 70, 80 years, but you have to every day at night when you think of your life, you can be contented and happy and peaceful because you did responses, you did the best you can.
Yeah.
And then just give everything to this quote unquote universe God and sleep well. You will be up again next day. So that's it. So I'm very fortunate, Sarita. I met so many good people in life. They made me good.
You are good, so you see everything around you also good. So that is what comes back to you, right?
Yeah, that is, and there is no bad. There is nothing like bad. You can bring out best in everyone, whatever that best is. So actually, there is no. I mean, I'm not saying in a dreamy way there is no bad. Yes, bad things do happen. Yeah. But I mean, you do the best you can. Your responses, you do the best. You can do it. Yeah. So, and if you feel whatever you feel, you are honest with yourself. Self-reflection, that's the best thing that could happen. That's what spirituality is. Yeah. And we are in the same boat, so don't put anybody on the pedestal or don't put anybody down. We are all eye to eye.
Yes.
So
okay.
That's that. I talked a lot.
I would say you are more like our knowledge bank, whom we can count on for advice anytime. That's what I
anytime.
would say.
And
Yeah.
I would love to talk with anyone, and I grow from that. So it is very selfish. Don't be, don't think that I'm giving you anything. I'm receiving a lot. And as I said, I'm very honest. These kids, they taught me that in all kids, but artistic, they gave me so much. I mean, what am I giving? They gave me everything. So that's how I feel about everyone. If somebody wants to communicate with me, I mean, that's great. I grow from that experience.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for your
Yeah.
time, Sumantai, for sharing such valuable stories and walking us through the memorable parts of your life journey. It has truly been an honor speaking with you. It's
Yeah.
really, really, truly an honor speaking with you today, and wish you a very happy Gudi Padwa.
Thank you very much.
Namaskar.
And I enjoyed talking with you a lot. I got to know you a little better.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Rohit, also, wherever he is. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Pravas Kartutvacha. We would certainly like to hear from you for any kind of feedback. You can always email us at Ashayghan. Thank you, Rohit, for arranging this and for all your support. Wish you all a very happy Gudi Padwa, and may you all have a wonderful and a prosperous year ahead. We will see you soon with yet another interesting life journey on Pravas Kartutvacha. Till then, stay happy, stay healthy. Namaskar.